Is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're getting into my mock draft 2.0 here. Just came out with our first one last week. Super excited for this draft as all of you guys are. This is going to be a no trade mock draft to flip things up from last time, make things a little bit more interesting. But anyway, guys, without a further ado, let's get into my mock draft. This is a what I would do mock draft, so not a predictive one. But let's get into it here. With the number one pick, the Bears are going to take Caleb Williams here. And we got to click start. There you go. You're on the clock, as you can see. Suggestion, Caleb Williams. Get your QB of the future there. Hopefully it works out for once for the Chicago Bears. Number 2, we got the Washington Commanders. And I got the Commanders taking Drake May. I know a lot of people thinking of taking Jaden Daniels here. I could see it happening. But in my opinion, Drake May is just an overall better prospect. Jaden Daniels may be a little bit more pro-ready at this point, but I think Drake May could really be an exciting player in the NFL. He's that kind of player that I think the Washington Commanders are looking for. No discredit to Jaden Daniels, but in my opinion, Drake May is the better prospect. Then we got number 3, the New England Pats. Give me Marvin Harrison Jr. for New England. Jaden Daniels obviously right there for the Patriots. That's a player they could go with, but I like Marvin Harrison Jr. better if I'm the Patriots. I mean, I just don't think this Patriots team is ready to throw a QB into the fire. You know, just suck for a year. See what happens. Get your receiver a stud in Marvin Harrison Jr. Might be the best player in this whole draft class, disregarding, positional value with Caleb Williams. But MHJ, he's a great player. I like them, or the Patriots, to go with him with number 3. And like I said, I think if Jaden Daniels went there, it would be a tough situation for him with just how that team is set up. All right, Cardinals up next. Cardinals, obviously, they really want Marvin Harrison Jr., but I'm not mad with getting Malik Neighbors here if I'm the Arizona Cardinals. You know, Malik Neighbors is a great fit for the Cardinals. He's a type of player that, if it wasn't for Marvin Harrison Jr., he would be the best receiver in this draft class. I mean, he's just that good out of LSU. I think he's closer to Marvin Harrison Jr. than a lot of people are giving him credit for. Very good player. Reminds me of Jamar Chase. Cardinals need a weapon. Give me Marvin Harrison for them. Chargers up next now. Chargers are an interesting team here. Remember, no trades. I think if the Chargers in real life should trade down just with the holes they got on that team. I was debating between Rome Odunze and Joe Alt. I think Joe Alt's just the better player overall. As you can see, the only suggestion it has is Rome Odunze. But I think Joe Alt's a better prospect overall. I think he's a blue chip prospect in this draft class, which I don't say very often. Joe Alt, I really like him a lot. I could see him going with Rome Odunze. They need a receiver badly for Justin Herbert. But like I said, you need a tackle as well. Give me, in my opinion, the better prospect with Alt. All right, Giants are up at 6. Jaden Daniels is sitting there at 4. Giants, I think they're tempted to go with Jaden Daniels. There's no question about it. But similar to the Patriots, you take a look at this offense, it's horrible for the New England Patriots. I don't like them to go with a receiver. A QB here. Jaden Daniels, I think, would be thrown into a wrong situation. Plus, they recently paid Daniel Jones. I'm not going to give up on Daniel Jones that quickly after how much they paid for him. So if I'm the Giants, I'm going to give Daniel Jones a weapon here. I'm going to go with Rome Odunze, the receiver out of Washington. Great prospect for the Giants. You need a weapon. And Rome Odunze, I think whoever falls to you, Joe Walter, Rome Odunze, you basically take there at 6. you're probably hoping that one of the other weapons falls to you, but I like Roma Dunze for the New York Giants at 6. Titans up at 7. Titans, interesting draft so far. I'm going to go with Alomio Fushanu out of Penn State. Joe Alt, I think, is the dream scenario for the Tennessee Titans at number 7, but they don't get him. Fushanu is very good as well. I think Fushanu is a top 10 player prospect in this draft class. Very pro ready. There's not a lot. I think he's getting slept on. There's not a lot of weaknesses in this guy's game here. I think he can come in, be a great fit for the Titans, and finally be able to protect Levis for this year, which he was very much struggling at that last season. So, we got the Titans there at 7. Falcons are up next at 8. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons, Alayatu Latu was the pick I went with last time. I'm going to go with Byron Murphy Jr. out of Texas for the Atlanta Falcons. Byron Murphy Jr. kind of getting slept on here. I think he's arguably the best overall defensive player in this draft class. He's a great player, man. Was eating at Texas in that interior D line. He's a big, he's not the biggest, your typical nose tackle, but he's still a very big player here. Very strong. I don't even think he has, a pound of muscle fat, not muscle. I meant fat on his body. I think he's very much muscle, and that's very valuable in today's NFL. He will eat those guards and centers on the interior for the Falcons. So I think that the Falcons and Raheem Morris will like that fit a lot as a team that's trying to win. So yeah, the Bears gave me an A+ for taking Caleb Williams. Not surprised there. I'm going to go with a surprising pick. It's saying go Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner, he's right there. I understand Dallas Turner's the more common pick. I'm actually going to go with Liatu Latu. In my opinion, a better player over Dallas Turner and Jared Verse. I don't think Jared Verse should be in that conversation between the two. I'm going to go with Liatu Latu, man. I think this guy's pro-ready. He will come into Chicago Bears, be a very good edge player for them. I think he's getting very much slept on in this draft class. I really like him as a player. Dallas Turner, he has the potential to be a much better player, but I could see Dallas Turner busting, and I just don't. I think the Bears would want that kind of more pro-ready type guy who's still going to be a great player in the league, in my opinion. So that's a little bit of a hotter take, but I got Liatu Latu. And yeah, since we don't have trades here, Jaden Daniels still on the board at 10. I was honestly debating going with him if I'm the Jets, just because of you don't know how long Aaron Rodgers is going to be there for you. But I'm not going to do that, though. I'm going to go with Brock Bowers out of Georgia. Repeat a pick I had last time. I mean, Brock Bowers, man, he's just a great fit. They need a weapon, another weapon for Aaron Rodgers besides Wilson. Brock Bowers, man, he would be a huge piece in the Jets who are trying to win now. If they take Jaden Daniels, what was the point in trading for Aaron Rodgers at this point? I mean, they're trying to win right now. So get your weapon, figure out the QB situation later. And you also have Zach Wilson if you want to run it back with him. But yeah, give me Brock Bowers out of Georgia for the Jets. All right, so we got the Vikings. I'm going to go with J.J. McCarthy out of Michigan. And I know that's a little bit of a hotter take. People would say Jaden Daniels is a better prospect than J.J. And I agree, Jaden Daniels is a better prospect over J.J. McCarthy. I understand that. But in my personal opinion, for the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell's scheme, I think J.J. McCarthy is a much better fit. I know J.J. McCarthy has some question marks entering into this draft. he was a good QB at Michigan, but not a great one. He's very athletic, though. I think I trust Kevin O'Connell to develop him. I don't think Jaden Daniels would fit well in that kind of a scheme for the Vikings. I know it would be exciting, but I just don't have it happening. I'm going to go with JJ. I think he's a better fit for the Vikings. I did this in my last one. I'm going to stick with it. Give me JJ McCarthy. And that leaves the Broncos at 12 with Jaden Daniels sitting in their laps. I just don't see how you can't go with Jaden Daniels here if you are the Denver Broncos. I'm doing it. At 12, that's just too good. If I'm Sean Payton, that's not my kind of QB. But, would you rather have a Jaden Daniels QB prospect or maybe like a Bo Nix, who I think Bo Nix is just, let's be real, he's just not the kind of prospect that Jaden Daniels, the Heisman winner, was. Jaden Daniels was a freaky athletic player when it comes to running. I think that Sean Payton has some kind of scheme for him that he can fit in. So yeah, I like Jaden Daniels to go to the Denver Broncos, which the Raiders would really want him there, but unfortunately don't get him. So you got the Las Vegas Raiders up next. You got some options here. I was thinking tackle, maybe Amarius Mims, Troy Fiatuanu, but I'm not going to go with that. I'm actually going to go with a cornerback here for the for the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm going to go with Quinyon Mitchell. I think Quinyon Mitchell is a better prospect than those tackles. I know that's a little bit of a hotter take, but I like Quinyon Mitchell a lot. I think he doesn't have a lot of weaknesses in my game. I think he's my clear-cut cornerback number 1. I know a lot of people are close with some other guys in there, particularly Terrion Arnold for the general public. But Quinyon Mitchell, I know he played lower competition, but he was a lockdown corner. Not the greatest press corner, but he can develop that. His zone coverage is phenomenal at Las Vegas. I think he can still for sure play man-to-man as well. There's not a lot of weaknesses in this guy's game. You kind of have to dig to criticize him, and the Raiders need a corner. You could go Bo Nix or Michael Penix, but I don't like that fit at 13. Wait till the second round, and maybe you can get one there. Offensive tackle for the Saints, I think. With Amarius Mims there, I like that a lot. Amarius Mims, my kind of prospect here. Gives me a B+ for that one, but, not a lot of people are high on Amarius Mims as I am. It's kind of more of a my guy. He is my third best offensive tackle in this draft class. He did deal with some, injury concerns this past season. Hasn't had the most playing time, but that's the knock on his game. Even when he was in there, he was a great player. He was a force for the Georgia Bulldogs. Big fan of this guy. He's a freak athlete here. A big-time tackle, like 360 pounds. It's just tough, man. I know some of those tackles don't work out in the league, but just from what the film says, I think he will. And the tackles are just tough to come by at this. He could be a top tackle with the way he plays. I think that's just too good to pass up if I'm the New Orleans Saints and I need a tackle. So I'm going to go with Amarius Mims at number 14 for New Orleans. 15 for the Colts. Going to go with another surprising pick here. I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins. Gives me a B for this one. And before you go commenting, I'm not going to be like the general public. We know the draft is always not expected. There's always some different picks in there than from what the consensus is. And Nate Wiggins, my QB2, honestly, it's close between him and Terrion Arnold, but I like Nate Wiggins a little bit more. The injury concerns are there. The Colts are gonna have to take a risk on that at number 15. I think they do. You look at Nate Wiggins as a prospect, other than winning, very similar to my previous player we took in Amarius Mims. When Nate Wiggins was out there, he was a shutdown corner. Could he be like Andrew Booth Jr., who we saw a couple years ago, who was out of Clemson as well, but dealt with some injury concerns and just really never have panned out at all in the NFL. I haven't even heard a thing from him in the league. But yeah, I mean, I like Nate Wiggins a lot. I think he's a good fit. Terrion Arnold also would be a good pick as well, but I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprising pick with the Colts, who need a cornerback. Give me Wiggins out of Clemson. All right, Seattle up next. My team, last time I traded down with them, no trades in this draft, obviously. I'm going to go with Talise Fuaga, gives me an A+ for that one. And I agree, this is an A+ pick for the Seahawks if he's there. Seattle really needs interior O-line help, particularly at guard. If you look at their guards, I bet, if you're an offensive line guy, you would know that their guards they got there are bottom of the league, and they need it. Talise Fuaga, I think, is, a good tackle. He could be a good tackle in the league, but I think he would be a dominant offensive guard, and I think the Seattle Seahawks are getting one there at 16. So I like Talise Fuaga to Seattle, who is a great fit there, as I mentioned. And maybe you could slide Fuaga to offensive tackle and Abe Lucas to guard. But I like Fuaga in his first year to play guard for the Seattle Seahawks. All right, 17, we got the Jaguars up next. Look who's on the board. The top player according to Database Simulator here. First time doing this one here. Seems like they have some decent grades. I'll give them a little bit things that I'm a little mixed on. But yeah, Dallas Turner's on the board. A+ pick right there. Edge out of Alabama. I mean, that's just too much of an obvious pick for the Jaguars. They do need a cornerback, I believe. I could see him, right? That was what they needed, yeah. But I mean, Dallas Turner, man, they need an edge as well, and that's just too good of a prospect to pass up. The way he could play, I mean, just imagine if you have Josh Allen and Dallas Turner. I know they had that number 1 overall pick, who I forgot his name a couple years ago. Wrong pick. I mean, just was a bad pick, that guy out of Georgia. But yeah, anyway, Dallas Turner, really like the fit there from Alabama. If he develops, that's a scary pass rush duo they got in Jacksonville. Bengals up next. If I'm the Bengals, I'm rejoicing because Troy Fiatianu is on the board, offensive tackle out of Washington. Troy Fiatianu, a lot of people are saying he'll be better at guard. I disagree. Unlike to Fuaga, who I think Fiatianu is a better tackle prospect, I think Fuaga is a better guard prospect than Fiatianu is. But I think that Fiatianu can play tackle. I think he could play guard, but I think he'll be better at tackle, and the Bengals need an offensive tackle. Bengals obviously could go receiver here with maybe Brian Thomas Jr. as well. That could be a fit, but I like Fiatianu here. It's just too good of a player to pass up on in a position of need, a big time position. And what I mean by that is it's a very important position. So give me Fiatianu out of Washington to Cincinnati. Rams up next. We're going to go with Jarzine Newton, defensive line out of Illinois. I was thinking maybe going Jared Verse here, but I like Jarzine Newton more as a prospect. Gives me an A for that one. Obviously, Aaron Donald retires. It's tough, man, because of the Aaron Donald retirement, that they're going to need another interior D line. They have other needs, but I like Jarzine Newton the most for this team. Obviously, I'd hope that Byron Murphy falls, but Byron Murphy goes 9 or 11 picks ahead of him. So, Jarzine Newton's the best player available. And I think that also what this has to do with is the interior D-line group it's a good group, but it does kind of fall off once you get to past these two players. There's some good players in the third round, but I think that this team wants one in the first round, and Newton available there. I'm going to go with him for the LA Rams. Steelers up next here. Steelers need a lot of positions. O-line is very much an option for them. Could go with Terrion Arnold as well. But I'm going to go with a weapon because this team invested so much in, I guess not much. They did not invest much in the QB position, but I think they got to invest in it here. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, who I think is a better, it's very tight between Arnold and Thomas Jr., but a position they need more than cornerback. They got some bodies at corner they can play. And Brian Thomas Jr., he is just really freaking good out of LSU. Obviously, with Malik Neighbors, that was a very good duo for Jaden Daniels. And Pittsburgh's going to get a really good weapon there for Russell Wilson, or if Justin Fields starts for them. So, yeah, let's go with Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU for the Pittsburgh Steelers, who I just feel like it's a team that doesn't invest too much into the wide receiver. Correct me if I'm wrong, Steelers fans, if you're watching this. But I think that this team just doesn't really usually take a wide receiver in the first. All right, Dolphins up next. Dolphins, I think they could go D-line here. I think they would probably want either Newton or Murphy to fall, but they don't. Offensive line is a very big concern for them as well as edge. Could see him going that route. But I got them going with, where is he? There he is. Graham Barton, offensive lineman out of Duke. I think they could go with J.C. Latham there. It could be a fit, but I'm going to flip. I think I went with that last time. I'm going to flip things up. Give me Graham Barton, who I think is for sure going to be a guard on the next level. I just don't like J.C. Latham at a tackle. I think if you take him, if you're the Dolphins, you feel pressure to move him to tackle, where I think he could be a big-time bust. I think J.C. Latham would be better starting at guard, as well as Graham Barton, who I think is going to be a great offensive guard in the league. And the Dolphins need that. So I'm going to go with Graham Barton out of Duke for the Miami Dolphins. All right, Eagles up next. Guess who's sitting on the board? Terrion Arnold out of Alabama. I think Eagles fans would be rejoicing about this pick, and I think it's a pretty obvious one. So give me Terrion Arnold. Gives me an A+ pick for him. And I'm not disagreeing with that. The Eagles in the first round, Terrion, I wouldn't say it's an A+, but it's a good pick for sure. Terrion Arnold out of Alabama is just too good to pass up on. So give me him. And we'll fill in a very important position for the Eagles. All right, Vikings up next. Minnesota, got their guy with J.J. McCarthy at pick 11. But I'm going to go with Jared Verse here out of Florida State. Edge still available on the board. I'm not as high on Jared Verse as a lot of people are, but he still was a very good player out of Florida State. Dominated pass rushing, was a big part in that defense. I like him a lot. If I'm the Vikings, there's a lot of positions on defense that they could work with. Their pass rush was iffy last season, so let's go with a good player for Brian Flores and the Vikings, who I think are looking like a pretty good team. That could be a sleeper team heading into the season. Okay, Cowboys up next at 24. J.C. Latham on the board there. I'm going to do it with an interior O-lineman. Not as high on J.C. Latham at all as a lot of people are. I think the Cowboys would very much benefit from trading down in this draft, but I'm not going to do that. I think that, like I said, J.C. Latham should play guard to start out this his career because I think if he's thrown into tackle, he's not going to do well. There's just a lot of red flags on tape for him when it comes to playing tackle. He is a big guy. He's a freak, kind of, but I don't think he is as that good as Amarius Mims from what Amarius Mims shown from Georgia. So, if I'm the Cowboys, I'm taking him still though because you desperately need interior O line and even tackle. Maybe you want to test him out there. Like I said, it's very risky though. So play him at guard, and then hopefully he can develop and slide back to tackle once he can develop those skills. All right, Packers, and this is just a constant mock that we've seen a lot. Did it last time in mine. Cooper DeJean out of Iowa. I mean, it's just too good of a fit for that scheme for Green Bay they're trying to run, and Packers seem to like him a lot from what I've heard. If he's there at 25, unless one of the other cornerback prospects are there, I don't see the Packers passing up on him because it's such an important position for them heading into this draft. Okay, Buccaneers up next at 26. Let's go for Tampa Bay. Jackson Powers Johnson out of Oregon. In offensive center. And I really like the fit of Jared Verse to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who I did in my last mock draft. But Jackson Powers Johnson is also a great fit. The Buccaneers need a center. Jackson Powers Johnson is by far and away the best center in this draft class. So give Baker Mayfield a good center and move on if you're the Tampa Bay Bucs. All right, Cardinals back up on the clock. They did take Malik Neighbors with their first pick. And that was obviously really filled out a big, important position at wide receiver. This time, though, I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball, go with Kool-Aid McKinstry. Gives the Cardinals back-to-back A+. The Cardinals needed that corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry, I think, is the next best cornerback available. Not as good as Terrion Arnold is, in my opinion, but still a really good prospect for Kool-Aid, who also have a very good name. And Arizona, trying to build up this defense with Jonathan Gannon, give them a good corner. It's still a long ways to go to build up that defense, but I think they can get there if they keep making good picks. All right, Bills up next. Adonai Mitchell is waiting for them. We know the Bills are most likely going to go receiver with the way those weapons are shaking out right now. They need one. I don't think Adonai Mitchell is as good of a prospect as Ladd McConkey is in my eyes. I think Ladd McConkey is just slightly better if I'm the Bills. So that's who I am going to go with here. Out of Georgia, Ladd McConkey, I think, fits the Bills' scheme as well and what Josh Allen's going to want to do. Adonai Mitchell, I think, could be the type of player that could break loose. I understand that. Ladd McConkey's more of that higher floor type player, I think. If I'm the Bills, it's exciting to go with the type of player that, like I said with Dallas Turner, who a lot of people have him mocked as the best player just of sheer potential, but that's where some bust things can come into play. Bills are a team that's trying to still win. They're kind of leaning towards a rebuild, so maybe Adonai would fit a little better there, but I'm gonna assume the Bills are gonna want to win right now, and Ladd McConkey's gonna be a good fit. And that's not to say that Ladd McConkey, just because he has a little bit of a lower ceiling than a player like Adonai, that he can't develop into something great. Still, I think he can, for sure. I think he'll be a great fit for Buffalo and what they're trying to build. So let's go with Ladd McConkey out of Georgia. All right, the Lions. And I'm going to have a pick that's going to blow a lot of people's mind. This is kind of my most surprising pick of the draft. So we're gonna go to edge. We're gonna scroll down here. Chop Robinson's on the board. You know, this group likes a lot of players, but I'm gonna go all the way down here. I'm gonna take Jonah Ellis out of Utah. And guess what, guys? I'm a BYU fan, so I actually hate the Utah Utes. One bit I want to see what it gave me for this. I bet it was like a D or an F because of how lowly graded they have him. It has it as a C, so that's a little surprising that it has it at that. So I'm gonna take a win at that. It doesn't think it's that bad of a pick. But yeah, I mean, I just think that Jonah Ellis is getting very slept on. I think ever since his injury, he did injure himself, which obviously injuries do you have to take it into effect. I mean, it's a key part of a player's, value in the NFL is if they're injured, they're gonna and they can't recover, they're gonna be a bust. But I think that Jonah Ellis, unless something crazy happens, I think he is he's going to be fine. He's going to recover from this injury. And when you look at his tape, I think he's by far and away a better prospect than a lot of people are picking him as. He coming in, he's really that Utah defense. He really passes or rushes the passer great. He reminds me a lot of J.J. Watt, a white boy, very similar to J.J. Watt with Jonah Ellis. The way he can use that shot move like J did. It's just a great fit, man. I really like Ellis and the Lions. You got Aiden Hutchinson. Might as well pair another white edge player. I'm just kidding. No, I'm messing with you, but that's not the reason. But I just think that the Lions seem to always surprise in the draft. I think this isn't a predictive mock draft, but if I'm the Lions, I'm gonna take a risk on Jonah Ellis. You're a team that's gonna win. It's gonna try and win. Jonah Ellis and Aiden Hutchinson's could be a phenomenal duo, and that's why I got Jonah out of Utah. And again, I'm a BYU fan, so I do not like Jonah Ellis, or I do not like the Utes, but I really respect Jonah Ellis as a prospect. So we're gonna go Jonah Ellis out of Utah to the Lions. Okay, Ravens up next. Pretty simple pick here. We're gonna go with Adonai Mitchell. Gives me an A+ for that one out of Texas. Adonai, I think the Ravens just go with the best receiver available here. There's a lot of other positions they can maybe go with. They need a tackle. I really like the fit of Jordan Morgan to them, but I don't think that's what they do here. I like the fit more of a weapon. You got Zay Flowers. You do lose OBJ. So let's go with a weapon here for Lamar Jackson and the Ravens for the MVP. So give me Adonai Mitchell, who could be just a phenomenal player. I think his potential, his ceiling is CeeDee Lamb out of at Dallas. So let's go with Adonai. All right, 49ers up. We're going to go with Jordan Morgan out of Arizona. Niners need a tackle. There's not a lot of the blue chip tackle prospects in this draft available. Not a lot of the better ones. Jordan Morgan, though, I think is getting slept on in this draft. I think he can for sure play tackle right away for you. Does have some concerns there, obviously, as tackles once you get later into this draft but the Niners need one, man. At 31, that's great value for them. Let's go with Morgan. And then finishing it off, the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to go with a receiver, in my opinion. Xavier Worthy on the board. I'm going to go with him out of Texas right there. Xavier Worthy, A+ pick from the mock draft. I mean, he is a fast weapon for the Kansas City Chiefs. We all know how they did with what they did with Tyreek Hill, who was also a very fast player. So yeah, I do like Xavier Worthy for Patrick Mahomes to get him a big time weapon. So yeah, let's just scroll through this so you guys can take a look at the picks. We started out with Caleb Williams to the Bears. Just take a look here. Um, maybe some of the more surprising picks, I would say probably Liatu Latu to the Bears. I think would be a little bit more of a my pick, a my guy type pick. Um, Jaden Daniels and JJ McCarthy obviously slipping to 11 and 12. That's obviously, I think, really got to do with the no trade mock draft. I think these guys go much higher if we're doing a no trade mock draft, but just say in a world where no teams trade up that these guys slip, I think that's how it would go, or that's how I would play it if I was those teams. Amarius Mims is a my guy type pick to the Saints. Um, Graham Barton to the Dolphins. That might be a little bit of a hotter take. Jared Verse slipping to the Eagles right there. Jared Verse to the Vikings. Obviously, Dallas Turner to the Jags. Obviously, probably the biggest reach in, I guess you could say. What people would say would be Jonah Ellis to the Lions, but I really like that fit for them. And yeah, that is it. Xavier Worthy finishing it off to the Chiefs. So anyway, guys, thank you all for watching this video today. Comment down below your mock drafts. Anyway, guys, peace out.